The story of the War of 1812, as it's popularly told, focuses almost entirely on the Niagara and Detroit frontiers. But there's a lot more to this story than just the big battlefields. The interior of Upper Canada, a patchwork of settlements and farms, the colony's breadbasket, was connected by a network of ancient trails and rivers. These routes saw the movements of troops, the flood of refugees, and repeated, devastating raids. The United States of America declared war on Great Britain in June 1812. Shortly thereafter, General Hull invaded Upper Canada from Detroit. Early August, General Brock came overland to the Mohawk village near here at Brant's Ford to meet with the Six Nations before he left for Port Dover. Taking to a motley flotilla of leaky boats, Brock and 200 men rode to Amherstburg. Hull surrendered Detroit 3 days later, losing Michigan to the Crown. Brock then moved his troops overland to the Niagara frontier, where he was killed in October at the Battle of Queenston Heights. In the fall of 1813, the British fleet's loss of Lake Erie, General Proctor's retreat, and the Battle of the Thames left the Western Corridor undefended. About 7,500 refugees fled along the old Detroit path to camps at the head of the lake. The Western Corridor was now vulnerable to incursions by the Americans, such as the Battle of Longwoods. American sympathizers repeatedly raided the countryside, pillaging and trying to kidnap militia officers, such as Colonel Talbot. Late in 1813, skirmishes at Nanticoke and Chatham succeeded in capturing many of these traitors, resulting in mass trials at Ancaster and the hanging of 8 men at Burlington Heights. Probably the most dramatic thing that happened in the Western Corridor was late in the fall of 1814, when 750 mounted Kentuckians under General Duncan MacArthur crossed the border from Michigan into Upper Canada and burned and pillaged their way down the Detroit path. They were stopped in their eastern push by a combined force of militia and Six Nations warriors at the Grand River Ford. Turning south, MacArthur burned the mills at Mount Pleasant and Oakland. MacArthur engaged the militia here at the Battle of Malcolm's Mills. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, the locals fled the field, giving this skirmish the last in Upper Canada, the nickname the Foot Races. By the time MacArthur got back to Michigan, there were only 2 mills left standing west of the Grand River. Standing in a landscape in ashes, the few surviving structures, like the Backhouse Mill, stand as symbols of a largely forgotten and misunderstood past. The bicentennial of the War of 1812 gives us all a chance to discover and reflect upon these stories.
We've got a chance to get at more than just the British regulars. We're looking at a more diverse set of stories about the small black community here, the First Nations role, men, women, and children.
We would like to leave a legacy of acknowledgement through respect, because once we've gained that respect and the acknowledgement that we were a significant player and that we were an equal in this particular battle, perhaps we can start on that path.
The people living in that Western Corridor, they were the people that suffered the most in the War of 1812. And they have an incredible number of stories that have not been written.
For the bicentennial of the War of 1812, we will be having Captain John Brant Day to commemorate Joseph Brant's son as a captain in the war. We also are going to be having special events at the Royal Botanical Gardens.
For the city of Hamilton, we're really excited primarily about the reenactment of the Battle of Stony Creek. The 200th anniversary occurs in 2013, a really dramatic battle at dusk on the Saturday night. Secondly, blood ties across a gentle landscape. That's an exhibit at the Hamilton Military Museum. We're going to redevelop the entire museum, and the exhibit is designed to link artifacts and stories from the past to modern descendants.
Norfolk County is planning many exciting things for the bicentennial, including outdoor theater, as well as reenactments at the Backhouse Mill in Port Rowan, and there'll also be many exciting exhibits throughout Norfolk County in the local museums.
Hewitt's Dairy, which is a dairy that's been around in Haldimand County for 125 years in 2012. They are going to do a signature 1812 ice cream for us. We have a local winery, Baines Road Cider Company, that's just opened up, and they are actually going to create a signature 1812 wine.
Brantford's very excited about the War of 1812 commemorations. We have lots of local groups that are getting involved. The Military Heritage Museum is hosting a War of 1812 exhibit. The local art gallery, Glenhurst Art Gallery of Brant, is hosting a juried exhibition. And our local steering committee has drafted a map that highlights some of the really exciting and notable events and people who came through this region during the war.
For Elgin County, I think our biggest event will be a reenactment of MacArthur's raids that happened through this part of southwestern Ontario in 1814. We'll reenact these in 3 places in the county: Tyrconnell, Port Stanley, and here in the old part of St. Thomas.
Well, here in Ingersoll, we are planning a peace garden. We're trying to maybe work with a similar-sized community in the U.S. to work with them to celebrate 200 years of peace between the two countries.
Battle of Longwoods in 2014 is going to be on the actual site. It's going to be there with the actual numbers of people involved. And what's more, we're going to recognize the names of all the private soldiers killed at the Battle of Longwoods.
Watch for lots more exciting projects and events coming from the Western Corridor. We're working on a trail system now that's going to link our 1812 sites. And the Ontario Visual Heritage Project is working on a major documentary series that will be launched in 2013. For more information or to get involved, go to westerncorridor1812.com.